Protein, the king of the macronutrients. Now, you've probably heard that protein is important, and heck, you've probably even heard me say that protein is very important for your weight loss journey. But today, I'm going to tell you why protein is so important, in particular, how you can increase your protein intake in order to manage the two brains. Now, if you have no idea what I'm talking about when I say the two brains, you definitely need to go to the description down below and check out my previous videos so you can get yourself up to date. For everyone else, let's get into it. Welcome back to the program, you beautiful people. My name is Dr. Dan. I'm a pharmacist turned obesity expert. And before I dive into all things that are important about protein, I need to remind you to hit that subscribe button down below so that you don't miss another episode. As well, check me out on my other channels at the official Dr. Dan, and check out my website healthevolve.co, where you can book a consultation with myself and we can see if you're a good fit for our weight management program. Now, as a quick recap on the two brains, remember you have the primal brain, which is the apple pie loving hedonist, and then you have the modern brain, which is your lazy, sleepy guy that tries to keep that primal brain in check. But ultimately, that primal brain is always going to be pushing you to go for that apple pie. Now, when it comes to managing these two brains, we really want to try and get them to work with us, or at least the best that we can, and heck, maybe even get them to work together in favor of our weight management journey. Now, we've got a couple of goals when it comes to trying to manage these guys. What we're going to focus on for the next few videos here is how we can decrease the signal from that primal brain. If we can decrease that signal that is telling you to go eat that apple pie, well, then you are more likely going to go and choose to have that apple instead of that apple pie. And the first way that we're going to look at to try and decrease that signal from the primal brain is by increasing your protein intake. Now, protein is important because, well, first off, it is the king of the macronutrients. So your body can literally take protein and convert it into carbohydrates and sugars as it needs it. It can also take that protein and convert it into fats as it needs it. Basically, proteins and amino acids, which are the components that make up proteins, have a role in just about every single cellular process within your body. Everything from building muscle to building fat to regulating your immune system. Further, protein has a couple of other roles in our weight management journey. First off, in order for our body to utilize the protein or to take the protein from the food that we eat, your body needs to burn a lot of energy in order to break those foods down and extract the amino acids and protein from your food. So if we're using more energy to break down food and such, well, we're going to be burning more calories. And if you remember, burning more calories is generally a good thing. We need to make sure that our calories that are going in via food is less than our calories that are going out in order to lose weight. The next thing that protein also does is that since it takes a lot of energy, and in general it takes a lot of time to break down protein, protein often helps to increase our satiety, so it gives us that feeling of fullness. And anybody that has eaten a higher protein diet can attest to the fact that yes, high protein diet, you tend not to be nearly as hungry. And then the final thing that I think is, well, probably one of the most important aspects of protein is that it helps us to not only build muscle tissue, but it also helps us to retain and maintain our current lean muscle tissue. And so not only are muscles sexy, but muscles are also important because they are our main metabolic engine or our main metabolic rate. The less muscle that you have, the lower your metabolic rate is going to be. Now, a big question is, well, how much protein should we take in? And I'm sure you've heard a variety of different markers or different levels that you should be eating at. And I'm going to do my best here to try and clarify that for you. So the absolute bare minimum amount of protein that you should be consuming every single day is 0.36 grams per pound of body weight, or 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. Now, whatever that comes out to be for you and your body weight, you need to realize that that is the minimum amount. That is like the amount that you need to attain to prevent malnourishment. So, as we kind of say in the nutrition space, that's the amount that you need to survive, but not the amount that we need to thrive. And in reality, a more ideal protein intake should be 0.64 to 0.9 grams per pound of body weight, or 1.4 to 2 grams per kilogram of body weight. Now, both of those involve a number of numbers and calculations and everything like that. I like to try and really simplify things down the best way possible. Depending on the weight that you're starting at, you can look at this formula in kind of two ways. You can either go 1 gram per pound of your current body weight, or you can do 1 gram per pound of your goal body weight. So for example, if you're currently 150 pounds and you've got maybe 10, 15, maybe 20 pounds of weight to lose, I would generally recommend to try and go for that 1 gram per pound of your current body weight. So trying to get yourself up to that 150 gram mark of protein per day. On the flip side, if you are say 250 pounds right now and you want to lose 50 pounds, so 200 pounds would be your goal body weight, then you can go 200 pounds times 1 gives you 200 grams of protein in that situation. Now, a very important thing that I want to highlight here is that these are targets. These are a point to aim at and to try and hit on a daily basis. If you are currently eating, less than 80 grams or less than your daily even minimum recommended amount, you are going to definitely struggle trying to get that protein intake that high. And so kind of keep it in mind as a target, but slowly work your way up to that. Don't think you need to go from 50 grams of protein a day to 150 grams of protein overnight. You are just not going to have a good time. Now, for all the people that I'm sure are jumping up and down on their chairs and saying, what about your kidneys? What about your liver? Blah, blah, blah. What I can tell you is that if your kidneys are healthy, a high protein diet is perfectly fine. There are no concerns, no issues. We have done studies with massive amounts of protein being taken in on a daily basis, and there have been no indications of high protein diets causing any kind of damage. In fact, the studies with the amounts of protein that have been done, I would give you a gold star if you were consuming such high levels of protein. Like, you are not even going to get close to what we have seen in the studies. And I can assure you this goal body weight or 1 pound or 1 gram per pound of body weight targets aren't going to get you anywhere near a extremely high protein diet. Now, as I said, it is going to be really hard to eat a high amount of protein. It is going to require a lot of planning, preparation. You're probably going to have to incorporate snacks. But again, you want to take this nice and slow. To give you some perspective, 150 grams of protein is approximately 4 cooked chicken breasts or 5 Premier protein shakes or like 10 cups of Greek yogurt. So it's a lot of effing protein. So for a more stepwise approach as to how you can start to incorporate more protein into your diet, I'm going to kind of give you a list of things that you can work your way through. The first thing that I always recommend to people is figure out how much protein you're actually eating on a day-to-day basis right now. Maybe you're averaging approximately 60 grams of protein per day right now. I want you then to look and say, hey, how can I get 10 more grams of protein every single day? So how can I get myself up to about 70 grams of protein? And then I want you to hit that 70 gram protein goal every day for 1 week. And then the next week, I want you to try and go to 80 grams per day. And then do that for a week, and so on and so forth. It is going to be a lot of trial and error, but some simple things to start with right out the gate would be looking at what are you currently eating for protein in your current meals. If you're, say, having some kind of protein with dinner, and maybe it's like a chicken breast or a fillet of fish or something like that, and you've got your rice and veggies and all that wonderful good stuff, I want you to think about just, can you add maybe another quarter or half of a chicken breast on top of your regular chicken breast you already eat? Or if you're already having maybe eggs or something in the morning of that sense, just add a little bit more to get 5 grams, and then do the same at whatever you're having for lunch or maybe with one of your snacks. You see, it's a lot easier to add in 10 grams of protein than trying to add in 100 grams of protein. And then as you get better, start looking for foods and combinations of things that you can add together in order to increase that total protein intake. And as a couple of pointers here, because people always ask me about it, yes, plant proteins are fantastic. You should try to get more plants in if you can. Combine things like edamame, legumes, all the various different types of plant protein, even things like tofu can be beneficial. As well, getting in protein shakes, protein bars, or things like that are perfectly okay too. I have a protein shake every single day, and it helps me because it's quick, it's easy, it's on the go. I'm generally busy at that time, but it allows me to reach my protein targets more easily. Now, a couple other pointers here, because you might feel some side effects, you might notice some changes, and I can promise you that these things will go away. You just need to be consistent with it. The first thing here is that a higher protein diet might lead to some bloating, it might lead to some constipation. These things will alleviate as your body gets used to it, but definitely consider increasing your fiber and water intake to help mitigate that, and even consider a fiber supplement like Metamucil or Benefiber. The next thing here, that as you start to increase your protein intake and probably your overall food volume, the number on the scale is probably going to go up. I know, shocking, but I can promise you that this is okay. This is a part of the process, particularly if you feel more bloated. What's ultimately happening is you're full of more poop and, of course, water and stuff, but it's not fat. As for the other macronutrients, don't get caught up in the ratio of your carbohydrates, your fats, whatever. Balance those out to the best that you possibly can, and ultimately whatever works for your general dietary patterns. Protein is your focus. Hit the protein first and let the carbs and the fat kind of fall out wherever you want them to. And even when it comes to the calories, I'll talk about that in a future video as to a calorie target to try and aim for. But for right now, don't get too caught up in the calories. Just focus on getting that protein in. I can promise you that when you start hitting that 150 grams of protein a day, and if you are consuming good quality protein sources and eating more whole foods, well, you're probably going to be eating less calories overall. And of course, for how long do we need to do this for in order to lose and manage weight? Well, I hate to break it to you, but this is going to be something that you should do forever. The reason being is that this is not only going to help with weight loss, but this is also going to help with your general health and well-being. It's going to help with you to be more active, to feel stronger, to feel better, and everything in between. More protein is always going to have a ton of beneficial effects for you in the long term outside of you losing weight. And in reality, we really need to flip the script. We need to get away from this mentality when it comes to weight loss that we do something for a little while and then we can just stop it. We need to start looking at things from the perspective of what is sustainable for the rest of our lives. Something we can do in the long term, because that is going to be the only way that we maintain our health and our weight. So your goal this week is to get really, really good at increasing your protein intake to become a protein eater, if you will, and increasing that protein intake in your diet. And as you get to those higher and higher levels, is going to help to drastically decrease that signal from the primal brain, because your primal brain is going to be detecting, hey, we're nourished, we're getting the fuel and nutrients that we need to build a good, healthy, and strong body. So let's decrease this signal, and we're going to have less of a drive to have that apple pie, and instead we might be okay with that apple. So that is all things protein, you beautiful people. Get really good at becoming a protein eater, and that is your step number 1 for this week on how to start managing the primal brain and the modern brain. Ultimately, in the coming weeks, I'm going to review the other aspects and tips and strategies and stuff like that, and how you can essentially keep these guys at bay and get them to work for you on your weight management journey. Until next time, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below so that you don't miss another episode once they come out. Check me out on my other channels at The Official Dr. Dan. And of course, check out my website, healthevolve.co, where you can book a consultation with myself and see if you are a good fit for our weight management program and if you want to get signed up and working with us to help lose weight. Until next week, my friends, always remember that small tweaks lead to massive peaks.